Larry, I like Chardonnay. I like something along the line of taste. But what grapes are in a Chablis? You don't see that anymore. You just don't see a Chablis on the menu anymore. Well, you can't drink a town. What do you mean? I like a Chablis. What grapes go into a Chablis? You know, a good. I think we need to go back and study this point again and clarify. Hi, everybody. I'm Larry Baker. I am a level 2 certified sommelier with the Court of Master Sommeliers. So, my friend, shout out to Christy Norman, who is a somm over at Beverly Hills Wolfgang Puck's Spago restaurant. She did a really interesting, I wrote her a private message, but it's not really private. It just, she made a comment, which is really true. Our job as sommeliers needs to be educating the consumer. You know, just working in a restaurant, most restaurants don't even hire sommeliers. And the problem is, since that documentary, Somm, everybody thinks it's glamorous to be a sommelier. I mean, it can be very passionate and there's a lot of passion, but most restaurants or retailers don't hire sommeliers. They just hire like somebody they give the title to. There's no sommelier police. And there's, in other words, an abundance of people who are now becoming certified with all these different organizations and trying to get some piece of paper to say, I'm a sommelier, and yet nobody really wants a sommelier anymore. They just buy the same brand names, you see the same wine list. And I think the really most important job a sommelier can do to stop this, as Christy mentioned, is to be educating to the consumer. If we have a more educated consumer, then the restaurants will see more of a need for sommeliers to educate that person and make recommendations. But if the consumer doesn't want to be educated, that's a problem. Then we just have people that are just fine and dandy with going to their local restaurant, local retailer, and buying the same brand of wine and mass-produced stuff, and that's what we have, a lot of crappy wine lists out there. So I'm going to do my job here, and then you have to decide whether you want to be educated. We've talked about this before. The French label their wines differently than American wines, all right? And New World wines label the wines. You're used to seeing bottles that say Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay in this case, or everything. And then I think the confusion comes into these box wines and these big format gallon wines made in upstate New York or California that say the word Burgundy wine, Chablis, you'll see still, you know, the glass of wine on the restaurant. What's your house wine? Oh, we pour Burgundy. I'm making beef Burgundy tonight. And Chablis is on a lot of bottles still today of those 3-liter jug wines or box wines or whatever you want to call those large formats. And people see them everywhere in the supermarket, drugstores, gas stations, everywhere. And they say Chablis. They say this is a Chablis Blanc. And people think they start to begin that Chablis is actually a type of wine that people could say what grapes go into a Chablis. I have no idea, because what I need you to understand and get this down pat, and you'll know more education than 95% of the people out there that are drinking wine. Burgundy is a region. Burgundy, in French, it's Bourgogne, Bourgogne. But Burgundy is not a type of wine. There is no Burgundy wine. And yes, there can be white Burgundy and red Burgundy. What, white Burgundy? Right. A white wine made in the Burgundy region of France. So all that 3-liter stuff, throw it out the door that says Burgundy wine, Hardy Burgundy, this Burgundy, red Burgundy. It doesn't mean anything, okay? Because there is no such thing as Burgundy type wine. It's a place, a region in France. Now within that region, there are many villages. That's what goes on the label. Unless the wine comes from many, many different villages within Burgundy, and it would just be a Bourgogne, and then the Americans are happy because it will say the name of the grape. And those grapes, the majority grapes anyway, that are grown in that area, that 99.99999% are, if the color of the wine is red and it's from any of the villages in Burgundy, or many villages, well, that will tell you the name of the grape, it is Pinot Noir. But if the color of the wine is white and it's from any village in Burgundy, France, it's 99.999% going to be 100% of the grape Chardonnay. But it will not say that on the bottle. It will say the name of the town, or the village as we like to call it, and sometimes the name of the vineyard, but that's getting too technical. Just understand that if there's a white Burgundy on the list, it's not the Burgundy you're thinking to. You know, it's when somebody comes in that store and you know, or anywhere I'm working, or into a retail store, and you say to them, I need a cup of red Burgundy for my beef Burgundy recipe. The recipe says give me Burgundy wine, a quarter cup, and that retail person or sommelier you know, recommends, you say I want a Burgundy red, and they say, you know, that means you want a Pinot Noir, or give me something that's like a Burgundy that is less expensive than an expensive Burgundy wine. Well, you say, they may say to you, have a Pinot Noir, and you say, but I want Burgundy. There is no wine. Burgundy is a region, and the red grape of Burgundy is Pinot Noir. White grapes, you say, I want a Chardonnay, I don't like oak. Well, I'm going to send you for a white Burgundy from the town of Chablis. And I have one, for example, I was in Chablis. So Chablis is a village, a very famous village that we've talked about. So this is a village in France. This is Domaine Guéguen. This is Frédéric and Céline Guéguen, and wonderful people. I was out there last year, I think it was 2018, July, that I was at there in the village of Chablis. Chablis is very interesting because, again, not the Chablis wine in a 3-liter, Chablis the village, but the Chardonnay grapes that grow in that area, they come from a soil that is fossilized sea life there. There used to be water, and now, especially oyster shells, that's what you see as fossils. You can see it in the rocks and the stones, and they don't use oak in almost all Chablis. There's no oak. It's stainless steel. It's steely tasting. It's mineral. It's salinity. So that's why people may say with oysters, I want a Chablis, but they're really just saying they want a Chardonnay that comes from Chablis, because the Chablis that's on those 3 liters is made with, I think, Moscato and Pinot Grigio. I really have no clue, and those websites for the 3 liters don't tell you. So if you ask somebody for a Chardonnay and they take you to a village like Pouilly-Ficey, no, you haven't had that brand, you don't drink a village. You've had a white wine from the region of Burgundy, from the village of Pouilly-Ficey, or in this case, in the village of Chablis. All right, we're not even going to get into the technical name of the cruise and all that. I just want you to understand this basic concept. I'm educating the consumer here, for you, Christy, and for the rest of the Somm world, that Chablis is going to be a Chardonnay with no oak, and a more crisper style of Chardonnay than maybe a Chardonnay from another region of Burgundy that might have, let's say, Meursault, might be a little bit more, you know, richer in taste because it's aged in oak and French oak barrels for a certain amount of time. So again, to finally review, and I want you to really drum this home. Burgundy is not a wine. Forget everything that you see in that box section and 3-liter section. There is no type of wine, no grapes, I can tell you, in those wines from America or upstate New York or California, wherever they're made, Washington State, Chile, wherever, that says Burgundy wine, okay? There is no grape. Burgundy, the real, and there is no Chablis, and I can't tell you what grapes are in those Chablis. The real stuff is wine, a region it's a beautiful region in Burgundy. Somebody could say, I live in the Burgundy region of France. I was born where? I was born in a hospital in Chablis, the village. And if the wine is red and it comes from the Burgundy region, the grape is Pinot Noir, but the name of the village will be on the bottle. Unless it comes from several villages, it will just say Bourgogne and then put Pinot Noir, red. If it's white, it will say from many villages Bourgogne, and it will say Chardonnay on the label. But if it doesn't come from, it comes from one specific vineyards in that region like Chablis, it will not say, and you have to know as the consumer, when you're asking for an unoaked Chardonnay and somebody says a white Burgundy from Chablis, a Chablis would be great. There's not a grape, it is Chardonnay from the village of Chablis. I hope that sinks in. If you can get that thing, Chardonnay for white Burgundy, Pinot Noir for red Burgundy, you are now no more than most of the restaurant people calling them sommeliers right now, you know, that are just restaurant managers or whatever. So learn that fact. You know, for more information, you can always hit me up. on this website, LarryTheWineGuy.net. Just put your email in there. It's just a simple, just master that. Repeat it over and over. Watch this video over and over, and you will be an educated, informed consumer. Chablis Chardonnay from the village of Chablis. So remember, wine is not for snobs. It's for everyday people like you and me who understand and maybe one day will actually take a trip to the lovely village of Chablis and drink Chardonnay from Burgundy, France. See you next time.